Hi there, Tracy Brown. Thank you so much for supporting my work, whether it's my articles or blog posts or any of the services and products that I create honestly for all of us to be free from food and weight-related concerns, how to be more attuned to our body's needs for certain foods and our health concerns we might have, as well as how we can help support having good boundaries, taking care of ourselves in a compassionate manner, and learning how to be more resilient emotion riders within our bodies, in a way that we can have healthier nervous systems and feel more at home in our bodies. So last week we talked about deprivation driven eating, and today in this video the topic is going to basically flip to the other side of the coin, and we're going to discuss emotional eating. I'm not going to include binge eating in today's video just because I believe emotional eating can cover the gamut of all kinds of eating, whether it's emotionally under eating or emotionally overeating, or even just emotionally eating when we're kind of neutral, not really that hungry, but it's serving a purpose. So today's video is about emotional eating. So emotional eating, again, in our culture has been so vilified because it's sometimes meant in a negative way, like we are eating because we don't have control, or we don't care about ourselves, and in fact that's the least reason why we're emotionally eating. Emotional eating has so many forms. We're eating cake because it's a birthday party and we're celebrating, or Thanksgiving because we're celebrating all the abundance that we might have. So emotional eating isn't inherently bad. In fact, normal eaters actually do emotionally eat sometimes. The difference between emotional eating for those of us who are fairly attuned eaters is that let's say it's Friday night and we're having pizza, not because our body's like, oh, I'm really done, I gotta have pizza. That sounds kind of fun, let's do that. And we do that, and we listen to our bodies for the feedback about how much we need and how often we would do that, and those signals are there, and there's no guilt. But that's not how it feels when you're emotionally eating, to disconnect or repress or in any way try to change or manipulate how we're feeling. And again, that's not inherently bad, it's just a strategy for, probably way back, we had a hard time being with what was, and our nervous systems could have been really overwhelmed. Food could have been used as a reward or punishment toward ourselves or from others. And so it's laid a neural pathway into, oh, I feel this emotion and I gotta have this food. Or I feel this emotion and I've gotta get away from food. Or I feel a certain way and I wanna feel a different way. And when I eat a different food, I feel a different feeling. Of course, we know it's all temporary, because food can never really heal what feels dysregulated in us, but it can give us clues as to which direction we need to go to get our true needs met. So that's actually hopefully a good description of what emotional eating is and what it feels like. I would say intensely what it feels like is feeling really out of control. And I've worked with so many people over the years with different degrees of emotional eating, from all the way to eating to just so distended fullness that they were looking to do that on purpose. They would rather have felt the pain of that full belly and nausea and just physical discomfort to the place where they could almost just disappear into it, as a way of not feeling, let's say, the depression or just pain or distraction from their anger that they decided long ago that wasn't acceptable to feel or to have, or certainly to express. Sometimes emotional eating just looks like, I feel really uncomfortable in my body and I'm really I just can't be here. And it could be that they're at work and feeling anxious about a project and they're just munching away at the candy that's on the secretary's desk, or she is a secretary and she's munching away at the candy on her desk, just as a way to crunch away the tension, or to soothe and to swallow with that creamy milk chocolate to soothe her hurt or her sadness, or as a way for someone who has a big presentation to fill up and push down the anxiety. I know for me, one of my big emotional eating foods was and it was very specific, by the way. It was watermelon Twizzlers, the kind of you have to peel apart and eat strand by strand. And it really would depend, like, the specifics of the situation, how I would eat this food. If I was really wanting to soothe myself from feeling like I was so overworked and so tired and really just wanted to have more fun, have a break, I would take my time and peel across the strands of the watermelon Twizzlers and make that last and try to, like, create some, honestly, time and space for myself with that process. Or if I was really just ticked and frustrated at my situation, or of how helpless I felt in that situation, then I would chomp and chew until my jaw was sore. And usually I didn't eat. For me, my emotional eating didn't go to the place of I'm so full that I can't function, but I would get pretty full to where I wouldn't have room for my meal or my snack. Or I would certainly get to the place where I was sick of that food, but I would eat it like a few more bites or pieces past, like, earlier my body had said that's enough. So I did have the awareness of, like, oh, I don't feel like eating this anymore, but I still wanted the emotional payoff I felt like I was getting. So that's just one example of that. And honestly, real briefly, a way to slow that down, and this is how I learned to slow it down, was to just be able to, if I'm going to eat emotionally, let's be very present to it. So I would stay with, like, the strands or even the chewing and try to slow everything down to almost a slow motion, to notice what it was I was trying to express and not feel through this. And I could easily say, okay, I get it, I get the story, I need to slow down, have more fun in my life, take more charge of my life and my situation and how much I was working. And this is like back 10 years ago. I felt like I didn't have any control over the jobs I was in, and I was working too much, and it was time to make a change. I needed to face the reality of that and move forward. So once I started to realize that, it was a lot easier for me not to even think about or crave watermelon Twizzlers anymore. Occasionally I'll see those at the store, like a CVS or Walgreens, and think, oh, those taste good. But even if I bought some occasionally at this point, it's like, you know, they might last a couple weeks and they get stale and I get sick of them because the taste of them is never as good as the feelings that I was trying to chase or run away from. So it's really important to see emotional eating as a messenger for yourself, which in acceptance of this is a messenger. There's nothing wrong with me. What could this be about? So to really employ some courage and curiosity and deep, love and compassion for yourself. If this is the way you're trying to care for yourself, but there are other ways that don't result in stomach aches, or maybe even not honoring what your body could actually use and flourish best off food-wise. So it's weird to say maybe it's a gift, but it definitely, I can look back on those circumstances where I emotionally ate, and it definitely was. It tried to help me be more in tune, and by taking that opportunity, I learned how to do that. That's just one of many examples. So with emotional eating, it's just actually being really curious and to decode, like, what you're eating, and slowing down to notice the sensations that you have in these places where you feel like you're getting soothed from. So actually, literally, I have some worksheets about this I do with clients, but literally taking time to, like, what's the food? What were you feeling before? What are the qualities of the food? And then when you think about these qualities, like, what emotions come up? And usually you can see, like, oh, I'm feeling this from this situation, and I want to feel this. And this next step is, like, what in the past or in the present, how have I gotten those positive emotions, quote unquote, that I like to feel? And maybe you have a lot of examples of how you felt, let's say, empowered or in charge or more peaceful. And if you haven't, that is where the experimentation in your life really needs to take place, whether with me, with yourself, a good friend, getting a piece of paper out and writing down, like, what are the feelings I want to have, and even hypothetically, how could I get those, or how could I sink more into those within myself? So after you've gotten an idea of, like, how maybe you could provide those feelings for yourself, the next question is, like, how often do you actually give those to yourself? And I would say probably all of us, 100% of the time, we can all say probably not enough. And that's where the work comes in. How do we make that a part of your day, of your week to where you're getting your needs met, where food doesn't have to be the number one way you try to get it, because we all know how temporary it is. So whether you're eating emotionally, under eating, or overeating, the same exercises could be used. Also, obviously, using your hunger scale. If you haven't signed up for my guide, there's a hunger scale in that guide where you can check in with like how hungry and full. And you might see that you're actually emotionally under eating, in a desire to stay more numb or disconnected from yourself or from your situation. So that takes exploration and willingness to, like, you know, push yourself to, like, I can't continue to live my life at a 5 or 6. I stay numb, I stay disconnected from my needs, and I'm missing out on the fullness of life. And so it's really vitally important, if you're basically eating like a dieter would, like kind of always constantly constricting yourself to getting by versus getting enough. Your work is going to lie in what would satisfy me, and what of any lasting value prevents me from getting my needs met. What does that mean about me if I were to get my needs met? And you can see that same question either emotionally over or under eating. What does it mean about me if I were to get my needs met? And I'm guessing a lot of things would come up for you. There would be a story about that would need your tending as well. So again, make sure you get my guide if you don't have my hunger fullness scale and some of the accompanying kind of descriptions and handouts. If you need more help with decoding your food, either emotionally under or overeating, please check out my website, or you can email me. And I think that's it for today. Just want to give a little check-in with that and help you, and help to remind you that emotional eating isn't a lifelong thing. It does not have to be, but it does take your curiosity and your compassion for what your food cravings or even your food restrictions are trying to tell you. Okay, so until next time, thank you.